So 77% of leaders report feeling burned out and extremely exhausted. 3 out of 4. That's incredible. 69% of executives experience burnout symptoms. 50% say burnout affects their decision-making. 80% report organizational culture contributes significantly to burnout. Half of all CEOs report feeling lonely and isolated. And when you're isolated, you're more likely to burn out.
Welcome to the Crucible Project podcast. The Crucible Project is a nonprofit organization committed to creating a world of men and women who live with integrity, grace, and courage, helping them to fulfill their God-given purpose. This podcast will discuss important and sometimes difficult topics while delivering practical life applications with men and women who are currently practicing this work. We are igniting Christ-like change in men and women through experiences of radical honesty and grace.
Are back. So excited today to be with Byron Myers as we do more of the Real Christian Manhood series. Hey, Byron.
Hey, good to see you again.
Yeah, this is kind of weird because we're both kind of hosting and, neither one of us is hosting. We're just kind of like get together and do this adventure.
We're the poster children of that, right?
I'm always happy to be with you, Byron. And you've been a very busy man. Like you just got back from Africa doing leadership development over there and serving future leaders. So thank you for that work. And then a big men's event here recently that you were at. So super excited that you're doing those kinds of things. Always good when you're on the front lines in this work.
Yeah, thank you. It's fun. You've been pretty busy yourself. You've done a little bit of a tour around conferences lately.
Yeah, too many conferences. And, it's really cool to hang out with the American Association of Christian Counselors. There were about 7,500 there, and I think I shook about half of their hands. And we had the book Unstuck there at our booth, and I probably wrote some 350 times little notes to people in the books. And it's really great to see how God's using them. But I'm most excited. I'm about to get to be with a bunch of Christian business owners and around leadership and leadership development. One of the challenges in my life in my leadership has been, how do I prevent burnout? Like, how do I keep from, getting in a crispy place, I call it, like really being crispy. I was running a children's home, and we were raising 275 kids up in the panhandle of Texas. I had multiple layers of staff, hundreds of people that worked for me. Really, everybody that lived on the campus either worked for me or were residents in care or were dependents of somebody who worked for me. And so I was kind of like a mayor and also a pastor. And then the guy was making the final decisions on things. It was quite an adventure. And I had no idea how burnout I had become. And as I left there that first month, stuff started coming off of me. I was like, oh, wow. I was really stressed and I didn't even know it. Then the second month, even more came off. And the third month, even more came off. And I decided I wasn't doing 365-day care anymore in my life because it was just so heavy for a decade or so. It was a lot of work. And I was checking out some research on burnout. Recently, January 2025 article says 77% of leaders report feeling burned out and extremely exhausted. 3 out of 4. That's incredible. 69% of executives experience burnout symptoms. 50% say burnout affects their decision-making. I can't make as good of decisions because I'm all stressed and burned out. 80% report organizational culture contributes significantly to burnout. And what's so amazing about that is the chief executive is responsible for the culture of the organization, and yet they're saying that it contributes. And whenever we have burnout, we're 3 times more likely to report mental health issues. 1 out of 3 report physical illnesses. It affects our immune system. 70% of leaders admit neglect of well-being, and half lack any adequate support network. Half of all CEOs report feeling lonely and isolated. And that goes with the American men's stats. 3 out of 5 can't name 5 friends. 1 out of 5 can't name 1 friend. I saw an interesting thing out of Gallup, just came out maybe a week or 2 ago. It said 28% of pastors have someone that they call a mentor or have a support network. 2 out of 3 are leading isolated. And when you're isolated, you're more likely to burn out.
What's interesting is I think of two things that kind of cause this. Right? We say yes to good things.
Hmm.
We say yes to good things. So these are good things that we're stepping into. And then we carry, you and I have talked about this clothing of a leader before. And we think, oh, well, that's what a leader should do. I've got to say yes. I've got to take it on. I've got to do it. Nobody's going to be able to do it but me. Or we've
Yeah.
tried, rely on a few people. It didn't work out too well and we lost trust. So we're just carrying this huge weight that becomes what turns out to be burnout before it's all said and done.
And when we're in the middle of it, like in my situation back in the day, I didn't know I was burned out, right? I
Yeah.
was just unaware of it. I just thought it was like, men in general, they'll just buckle up, pull your bootstraps up, and you just kind of power through.
Yeah.
And powering through is good in a crisis. It's not a long-term sustainable leadership strategy. And it can lead to all kinds of challenges and problems. I was visiting with a pastor who, this was a number of years ago. He ended up in my office for stress related to his lay leadership board. And really, they were doing some things that would border on church abuse with him. I mean, it was not a good situation. We got through that time. He was able to step into his voice and find his power and set some boundaries. And then a few months later, he ended back in the office and he had something going on in the family that also added to stress. And now he's got work stress and home stress. And so we were able to work through that and the stuff between his ears that were keeping him from, I referred him to our Crucible weekend. He didn't come, but fast forward a year plus, he texted me in and said, "I've got to see you today." And I had a busy, schedule. And I texted back, I can't see where we could get together today. And he said, "Please, I really need to see you today." And I heard in that something like, I might be suicidal. It scared me. So I had planned to take an hour for lunch, which is not a practice I've done like most of my life, but it was a self-care thing I was doing at the time. And I said, "Come on about noon, and you're going to have to watch me eat while we talk." you know? And so he got there and he looked so gaunt. He was, I mean, I thought maybe he's going through cancer treatment and I didn't know it. He was thin, right? Skin and bones. And I said, "What's going on?" And he said, "The only place I can find peace is when I'm out on my bike. But I'm doing 26-mile ride in the morning and 26-mile in the evening. And whenever I'm not on my bike, I'm under so much stress that I'm not eating." And so even good things that would usually be helpful to eliminate
Yeah,
stress, right?
exactly.
Can be overdone so much that it becomes a problem in our lives. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
you're exactly right about this idea of, I've got to do it. Right. It's, if it's going to happen, it's up to me. And I fall into that sometimes, not that I don't think someone else can do it. I've looked around and I can't talk anyone else into doing it. And so if it's going to get done, I got to get it done. Right.
Yeah.
But I can still pace myself with it. Well, I want to talk about 3 shifts that I think are helpful when we start to get burned out. Three shifts. And the first shift is moving from ownership to stewardship, from ownership to stewardship. This idea that this is my company and that I've got to make it all happen. I've got to give up my sleep and my self-care and my physical rest and my workout and my mental health self-care, because if I don't get it done, it's going to fall apart. That's very different from a mindset that says, I'm stewarding that this is really God's. Like everything is God's. The mountains and the beaches and all that I have, all the money in my bank, I'm stewarding on behalf of God. It's His. And therefore, I'm stewarding it for a while. I'm taking care of myself as I go. I'm practicing Sabbath rest in a rhythm in some way so that it's not all up to me and it can wait till tomorrow. And if it doesn't get done, this company may fold, but I'm doing the best to steward it and it's God's. And I do the activities that help increase my business and, grow my business, improve systems and revenue and culture. But I'm doing it because I'm stewarding something that God's given to me to steward. And that's just a different shift. That's a different place. I'm responsible for what I do and my activities to make my business work, but I've got to give God the outcomes.
Yeah, and I can relate to the ownership part. I can relate to probably most everybody who's in leadership got there because they believed in what they were doing. And when they believe in what they were doing, they take this huge ownership. Like for me, it'll show up in a form of defensiveness. When you begin to poke at something I'm leading, I can become defensive, and I recognize that defensiveness actually came from this. I'm taking full ownership, but full ownership, that just wears us out.
Yeah.
It's going to wear us down. Like you said, Roy, it's God's, not mine. But boy, that's hard to let go of.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. I was visiting with a guy in the last several months who, he had scaled a business that he started in his garage to a $50 million revenue business, multiple employees and all. And burnout was a part of what was going on with him, I'll say. He was visiting with me about his relationship with his wife and kids. It was so much ownership that he couldn't even remember the people who helped him get to the idea that he wanted to launch, to help put his idea into some simple action. In other words, he had thought he had done it all on his own. And as we went through a gratitude kind of exercise around his business, he started to realize it. This idea of a solopreneur, I'm out there and I'm making it all on my own, the superhero kind of business person, it's a myth. It's a myth. We've all got people who poured into our lives at some point.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's our family and friends. Some people brought money. Some people brought ideas. We got accountants we hired to help us. We got, business consultants who helped us, marketing experts who helped us. No one person is able to pull it all off.
Yeah. Yeah. Boy, that is the perception, though, that we see. People looking outside in, that is the one-hit wonder. Anything they touch is beautiful, wonder kid, whatever it is, and there is no solo in that.
And if I created everything, then if it doesn't go well, if the economy shifts and my largest customer leaves, or whatever, then my identity is so wrapped in my company that why go on living? And I've seen that as well. So, so we need to move from ownership to stewardship. The second shift is to move from productivity to presence. Now, productivity is good. Right?
Yeah.
Some people need to hear this. Listen, your problem is you're not productive. You're not getting up and going and killing something, dragging it home, man. You got to do that. You ought to be working. The Bible's very clear about that. If you don't work, you shouldn't eat. You need to be engaged in some level of productivity. But if you are a doing instead of a being because you're just productive all the time, like you take a day of rest and you're trying to figure out how you can be more productive while you're resting, then you've got a problem. People need you more than they need your busyness.
Yeah.
And part of life is showing up. Yeah. Be still and know that I am God, God said. Be still and know that I am God. That's about being with. We are much more human beings than we are human doings, and the world applauds busy.
Yeah. Well, and becoming present in the moment. Wow, there's just so many aspects to that. But, you and I both know one of the things we do is we teach men to touch their emotion. And there's nothing better to bring you present than to stop and say, what am I feeling right now? And maybe even taking a 30 to 90 seconds to verbalize it or make some kind of verbal sound that also goes with, I'm angry, I'm scared, right? Brings us back into the now. Oh, we're so past and future oriented.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
I've struggled with this my whole life. Some of my story. Early on, I got this kind of message from Satan whispering in my ear that you're only valuable or lovable if you're achieving in some way. And, I've had a good career because that's been driving underneath stuff. But Our value, your value, listen, business leader, your value isn't in your productivity. It's not what you're doing. Your value is in who and whose you are.
Yeah.
It's looking at what scripture says is true about me. God believes is true about me. He speaks it, and buying into the idea that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. I am a beautiful gift from God, that he pursued me, he adopted me, that he delights in me. We bring him pleasure. That's huge to live from that place instead of I am only loved when I am achieving. That
Yeah.
is very, very different shift.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. So the third shift to consider is this idea of moving from solitude, the solopreneur kind of Superman, to community, to move toward God and to others, to let some people behind the mask, behind the armor that we have to protect ourselves so that we can actually do life with instead of in competition with others.
Yeah, there's a couple of thoughts there. I think of John Maxwell when he says, "You think you're leading, you turn around and nobody's behind you. You're just
Mm.
taking a stroll." Oftentimes, people really celebrate this leader who has helped make something big, but in all honesty, all he or she has done is sign the
Mm.
paycheck. And those
Mm.
people are following the paycheck. They're really not following the individual. That solo feeling can be so damaging. Second is find groups of people who are doing the same thing you are, but it feels like competition. It's scary to talk to somebody who's in your field and doing the same thing you are, but to group with those people and see, oh, I'm not alone in feeling alone. How do I make a change? I think that would be helpful to a person as well.
100%. Yeah. I don't know how many Christian businessmen have come to our retreat and found the first time in their life, or the first time in forever, they're not leading in the room. And what a gift that is for them
Oh,
to
yeah.
be able to follow some people instead of always leading all the time.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I've even felt it, so I feel it like you do in Crucible. I mean, you and I are up at the top in terms of our organization, but we're also leaders in the work, and it's nice to be at a retreat where we're not leading and
Yes.
just trusting the others, and then can get the community. Another space for me, I've just got a men's Bible study of men who are older than me, and
Mm.
they've asked me to lead a few times, and no, this is not my leader space. This is my space of being eldered. The submission piece of the solo leader also creates a community that gives us a place where we can just be us for a little bit.
Yeah, I really challenged that pastor who was looking gaunt in front of me, where he is not in a place of leadership in his life. And he said, nowhere.
Yeah.
And we thought about all the different possible affinity things that he could, engage in. Bike riding wasn't the thing for him to like sign up for. He ended up signing up, he lives in Texas. So he ended up signing up for a gun club. And started going into the gun club, and a few months later we checked in with each other, and he said, man, it's crazy because they don't know I'm a pastor, and I'm just out there, I'm meeting people who aren't Christ followers, and like I don't have that anywhere else in my life. And it's been so good to me to have people who are outside of my church who don't look at me as anybody other than another dude, that's out doing the fun thing that they like to do. And it really made a difference with him. One of the most powerful things I ever engaged with was Crucible's 2-year program. That was so powerful, not only in not doing life alone, but in having a group of men that I was meeting with regularly that I could talk about the ups and downs in life. Yeah, but the ups and downs in what God had me stewarding at the time, and double checking me in a challenging way, in a supportive, challenging way, around ways that I was slipping back into some of these shifts that I hadn't made fully, that they were in there and that started, but would slip back. Tell everybody about the 2-year program.
Yeah, a 2-year program just gives men an opportunity to do just that. They can lay off all the different personas and mantles and be in an authentic group, a cohort for 2 years. They meet 3 times a month just as a group to do work on their own soul. They get a monthly coaching call by the leader of the group, certified Crucible coach. And then they also are, within that price, they are getting a discounted rate on the 4 second level retreats that we offer. And man, things we've talked about, 3 of those 4 retreats already just come to mind: mission and life purpose, the 2 leadership ones, how we lead from our darkness, and then how we also lead from our joy, how we can do both, those 2. And then another big issue in men's lives, and I think may even be the result of us being so solo, is the way we act out sexually. And so we have the sexuality weekend where you get to look at how you got derailed and how you can celebrate your true sexuality as a Christian man.
Yeah. The God-given sexuality versus
Absolutely.
this world's kind of weird, crazy. Yeah. So I think if you're new into leadership in your career, or you've been leading people for a while, you're middle management in some way, you got people above you or below you, or you're the dude who's like carrying it at the top, I think it can be a good referral for you to go through the 2-year program. And I've
Agreed.
been a part of a group for about 3 years called Convene. You can check it out at convenenow.org. And it's Christian business owners. You got to get vetted. It's got to be a certain amount, dollar amount annual. But check out what they're doing over there to get Christian business owners together on a regular basis and make sure that we're leading with the integrity that we ought to. Yeah, this has been a good topic around burnout. I'm mindful that I'm in a daily rhythm of sitting with God and journaling about that sitting with God around all that's going on in my life and in Scripture regularly. I'm more often than not daily, not always daily, in a practice of taking care of my body physically with some kind of movement. And I had a vacation this year, so I took my vacation. That's huge. So, I'm doing some things that are helpful. And the things between my ears, those shifts are really where I still need to press in, and where else can I do that more in my life. So, yeah, I enjoyed our conversation today.
Yeah, it's always an enjoyable topic to talk about different aspects of men and their leadership. So, yeah, I've enjoyed it. Enjoyed my time with you as well.
A reminder that my latest book, Unstuck, is available for free on the website. You can get a free ebook. If you go to thecrucibleproject.org, any of our pages, just sign up for a weekly devotional spot, and you'll get that email in every Sunday. If you're stuck somewhere in your life, you know someone who is, it's a good resource. You can also find it wherever you buy books. Thank you for being with me, and if we can do anything for you, reach out. Hope to see you again before too long on the Real Christian Manhood series.
For more information about our weekends, please go to thecrucibleproject.org. Or if you're ready to get started on your transformational journey right now, you can connect with one of our Crucible certified coaches for a free 30-minute session at thecrucibleproject.org/coaching. That's thecrucibleproject.org/coaching. If you like what you heard, connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Rate and review wherever you're listening, and don't forget to subscribe on your preferred podcast platform. Thank you for listening.